You think Stonehenge was built by druids to track the summer solstice. You've been told it's a primitive calendar, a rustic temple of stone. That entire story is a comfortable lie, designed to keep a far more terrifying truth buried. Forget everything you think you know. Those stones are not a temple, they are a machine, an alarm clock, and it was built to track the end of the world. For thousands of years we've stared at this monument, asking how they built it. But the real question, the one that changes everything, is why. The answer isn't about harvests or rituals. It's about a lost science, a forgotten cataclysm, and a warning encoded in stone for a disaster they knew was coming. What we're about to uncover isn't just another theory about ancient architects. It's a journey into the mind of a lost civilization that understood the cosmos in a way we have forgotten, and it suggests that our history is built on a cycle of cosmic destruction and rebirth. This isn't just a pile of rocks. It's a message in a bottle from a drowned world. So how do we get from a peaceful sun-worshipping temple to a cosmic doomsday machine? We start by looking at the evidence on the ground, the cold, hard stone that tells a story far stranger than the official version. The monument we see today is just the final phase of a project that spanned over 1,500 years. It began around 3000 BC as a simple circular ditch and bank, what archaeologists call a henge. But then, something changed. An ambition of unbelievable scale took hold. The first stones to arrive were the blue stones, weighing up to 4 tons each. Here's the kicker. Geological analysis proves they were quarried in the Preseli Hills in Wales, over 240 kilometers away. Imagine the sheer force of will required. This wasn't a king building a palace or a general erecting a fortress. This was a collective effort of thousands, dragging these massive stones over mountains, rafting them down rivers, all for an idea, a shared, desperate, monumental idea. Centuries later, the project escalated. The giant sarsen stones, some weighing over 40 tons, were hauled from 30 kilometers away to form the iconic outer circle and inner trilithons. And here we find a clue that shatters the primitive narrative. The builders used sophisticated mortise and tenon joints, locking the lintels on top of the uprights. This is a woodworking technique, meticulously carved into some of the hardest stone on Earth. These weren't just builders, they were master craftsmen obsessed with permanence and precision. You don't go to that much trouble for a simple seasonal bonfire. This obsession with precision is where the mystery deepens. In the mid-20th century, an Oxford engineering professor named Alexander Thom surveyed hundreds of megalithic sites across Britain. He discovered something that shouldn't exist, a standard unit of measurement, a megalithic yard of exactly 2.72 feet, used with incredible consistency from the Scottish Isles down to the Salisbury Plain. It's like discovering that scattered, supposedly unconnected tribes all spontaneously decided to use the metric system 4,000 years before it was invented. This shared, sacred geometry suggests these sites weren't isolated. They were nodes in a vast network, a kind of continental-scale computer built of earth and stone, and Stonehenge was its central processor. For these people, whom the philosopher Mircea Eliade might call homo religiosus, there was no line between science and spirituality. Geometry was the language of the divine. Astronomy was the act of reading God's mind. The sky wasn't just a beautiful void, it was a living blueprint, a clockwork of cosmic significance. Picture the scene: a lead astronomer, a scientist priest, standing at the heart of the structure on a freezing, clear night. The world is silent, save for the wind whistling through the stones. Above him, the Milky Way is a brilliant, roaring river of light, unobscured by modern pollution. He isn't just watching the stars, he is communing with them. The stones around him are not just markers, they are lenses, calculators, designed to amplify his perception and track the subtle dance of celestial bodies. This is the foundation for the theory proposed by researchers like Christopher Knight and Robert Lomas. They argue that the alignments at Stonehenge are far too complex for just tracking the sun and moon. This was a machine capable of making long-term predictions, specifically for tracking the orbital paths of comets and other celestial travelers. It wasn't built to celebrate the reliable cycles of life like summer and winter. It was built to watch for the unreliable agents of chaos, the cosmic intruders. This reframes the entire purpose of the monument. It transforms it from a passive place of worship into an active instrument of science and survival, an early warning system. It suggests a culture not living in blissful ignorance, but one haunted by the memory of a past catastrophe and desperately trying to prepare for its return. Already intrigued? Hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Because if this machine was an alarm system, what was the fire it was designed to detect? So if Stonehenge was a cosmic alarm clock, what catastrophic event was it set for? This is where we leave the realm of established archaeology and enter a chilling hypothesis, one that connects this stone monument to some of our oldest and most misunderstood myths. The theory suggests the builders of Stonehenge were the survivors of a global cataclysm, one caused by a multiple impact event from a disintegrating comet around 7,640 BC, long before the stones were raised. This wasn't a single asteroid strike. Imagine a shotgun blast from the heavens with fragments hitting oceans and ice caps, causing biblical floods, tsunamis, and a nuclear winter that plunged the world into darkness. This trauma, this great flood that appears in over 200 cultures worldwide, wasn't a myth. It was a memory, a scar on the psyche of humanity. The survivors, scattered and broken, passed down the knowledge of this event not as scientific data, but as sacred stories. The most provocative evidence for this comes from an unlikely source, the Book of Enoch. It describes a group of fallen angels, led by one named Uriel, who defy God by teaching humanity forbidden knowledge, astronomy, the secrets of the sun, moon, and stars, and how to create calendars. For this, they are punished. But what if this isn't a story about divine sin? What if it's a distorted historical account of a priestly or shamanic class, the Uriels or Lightbringers, who preserved the scientific knowledge of a pre-cataclysmic civilization? According to this framework, these keepers of the flame understood the cyclical nature of this threat. They knew the Earth, on its long journey through the galaxy, would eventually pass through the same cometary debris field again. So they embarked on a monumental task, to build a machine to precisely calculate when. Stonehenge, with its sophisticated geometry and long-term astronomical alignments, was that machine. It wasn't just observing the cosmos, it was interrogating it, looking for the telltale wobble in the Earth's orbit, the subtle signs that the next encounter was approaching. This flips the entire narrative on its head. The builders weren't primitives looking up in wonder. They were highly advanced post-apocalyptic scientists. The so-called Megalithic Yard wasn't a random measurement. It was a precise fraction of the Earth's polar circumference, a unit designed for geodetic and astronomical calculation. The entire network of stone circles across Europe was a collaborative international scientific project dedicated to one goal: survival. They weren't just building a temple, they were building an ark of knowledge. What if the true purpose of the Sarsen stones wasn't just to be big and impressive, but to be permanent, to withstand flood, fire, and the ravages of time, to ensure the warning system would outlast the civilization that built it? It was a message to the future, a message to us. What would happen if we discovered today that this ancient machine was not only real, but that its countdown was nearing zero? The stones on Salisbury Plain would instantly transform from a tourist attraction into the most important object on the planet. And here's the most chilling thought of all. The final phase of construction at Stonehenge ceased abruptly around 1500 BC. The work just stopped. Why did they complete their calculations? Did they finally get the answer they were looking for? Or did the society that supported this multi-generational effort simply collapse, leaving their great machine silent, its final warning unread? In the end, whether a comet is coming or not is almost secondary. The real mind-bending revelation of Stonehenge isn't about a potential apocalypse, but about the nature of the human spirit. We look at our modern world, our digital screens, our relentless pace, and we believe we are the pinnacle of existence. But what if we've lost something profoundly important? What if we traded cosmic wisdom for convenient information? Imagine the consciousness of the person who designed Stonehenge, a mind that could hold 500-year-long construction projects in its vision, a mind that felt the Earth's subtle tilt as a personal reality, a mind for whom the stars were not distant lights, but the gears of a divine cosmic engine. This was a consciousness, anchored not in the frantic noise of the day-to-day, but in the silent, majestic cycles of eternity. They didn't just build an observatory, they built a physical anchor for their souls, a place to align their inner world with the outer cosmos. The ultimate purpose of this machine, then, might not have been purely physical survival. Perhaps they understood a deeper truth, that the greatest cataclysm isn't the destruction of the body, but the disconnection of the soul from the universal order. By building Stonehenge, They were not just trying to save their lives. They were engaged in a monumental act of re-enchanting the world after a trauma. They were reminding themselves, and us, that we are not separate from the universe. We are born of it. We are a part of its grand, terrifying, and beautiful dance. So the next time you see a picture of those silent, imposing stones, don't see them as a relic of a primitive past. See them as a challenge, a question posed in the language of granite and starlight across 5,000 years. Are you listening to the great cycles? Have you aligned yourself with something larger than your own brief existence? This isn't a psychological quirk or a cognitive bias for finding patterns. It is the fundamental ethical and spiritual challenge for a soul on its journey through eternity to find its proper place in the cosmic order. What if the true machine wasn't the stone circle itself, but the human consciousness it was designed to create? And what if that operating system for the soul is not lost, but merely dormant within us, waiting for us to look up from our screens and once again read the sky? Like this journey into the heart of mystery? Hit subscribe for more explorations into our forgotten past. And that's our hunt for now. A narrative woven from documented archaeology and tantalizing what-ifs based on bibliographical sources. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below.